filter to remove your internal IP address. So I can look at what our staff is looking at, but then I can look at the rest of the world. So that way I don't have to back those numbers out when I say this is how many things our membership or our constituents are looking at. So that's kind of a takeaway too. So there are other things here that, other dashboards, but I just wanted to show you that one as an example. There's a social media dashboard too, if you wanted to look. So Facebook traffic versus Twitter versus Meetup. It gives you those at a quick glance as well. We're okay with social media, but we're not big into it. We've got to do some work around that, but we don't have a full-time communications person to make that happen. So that's kind of one of our weak areas. But we that also came from the Dashboard Junkie too. So that's just another resource for you. There's lots of things out on that site, and I think I pulled it up. You can see the different types of. You can kind of click into each of these, and it'll show you the different reports that they already have created for you. And it basically just inserts it inside of your analytics, so it's not going to mess up something that you already have preset there as a standard either. So that's really nice. Okay, so let's look just from a general standpoint. When you first come in, let me go back to home and click on this again. When you first come in, it goes into kind of this audience overview. And so you can see, I'm looking at 2 months time here, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So something, no real spikes here, but if I were to change this, just because of the time of year it is, if I go back a little ways, I might see some bigger spikes, or a dip like this, and you're like, whoa, what happened? Oh, Christmas happened, right? So sometimes you'll see like a huge spike up, and you're like, well, what went out that day compared to other times? And we'll see sometimes we'll see that around our conference, which hasn't happened yet. It's kind of coming up, but you'll see a dip like this, or you'll see a spike, and you want to go and look at that and investigate it and figure out, okay, what happened there that I might want to repeat that. Maybe not the dip, but the spike, right? And then you can check. Let me change this back to a kind of a monthly view. Oh, can't read it here. You can also do a comparison in there. Did you guys see that, where you can compare it to the same year or whatever? So you've got options over there too, if you wanted to put two in the same time frame. All right. So what's great about this is you can kind of see at a glance under your audience overview, you can see how many people, how many unique users, this is individual people. And if you're not sure what a metric means, if you just hover over top of it, Google tells you. It's like, oh, that's what that is, okay? So you've got your page views, which we talked about. That's going to be your highest metric, just because that gets refreshed anytime the page reloads. You can see our bounce rate here overall for the whole site. It's around 43%. So again, like Jamie was saying, theirs hovers around that same area. If it were higher than that, because I keep these trends over time, I look at it, if it got much higher than that, I'd probably be concerned and figure out, okay, well, what's happening? Why is that true? The other thing that's unique to us, you know, because the returning people are tending to not come back, is we have a healthy returning visitors, but we're also a membership organization, so they're coming back to us for resources. If they weren't doing that, then that might be a problem too. Like, that might be another way for us to go, wait a minute, evaluate these services that we're offering. But you can see how many of them were returning and how many are new. You can also see kind of language and demographics. You can dig deep into any one of these areas. So if we look at something that you might be interested in, we talked about the mobile. So under audience and mobile, if you click overview, this has been hovering around 12%, a little bit higher these days. So, you know, I told you 3 years ago we were at 3%, now we're at 20%. So that's a huge jump in just 3 years. So we expect that that's going to continue to be the case for us. And you can see, those of you in the back may not be able to see these numbers at the bottom, but it does split up mobile versus tablet. So in total, it's about 27%, which is almost a third of our traffic. So that's a lot compared to where it was. So most of those types of statistics, you can even tell which browser they're coming from. So if you're trying to decide, okay, do we develop for Internet 9, 10, or do we focus mostly on our Chrome users, then you can even look at the technology that they have and see what type of browser they're coming from. So Chrome and Safari are our highest, but that could be totally different for your audience. So it's something worth looking at, especially as you're trying to decide what type of web page to create. And then you've got, there are other things here. One thing that I want to point out is your user flow. And this is going to look really crazy at first because you're like, what in the world? And it does look a little bit wild, but what you can do is see, first it tells you kind of the country. You can change this, if you wanted to some other metric. So if you wanted to look at social, or if you wanted to look at a behavior, maybe you wanted to look at an event label or something, you've got options there. If I wanted to know even city, I can look at that. So you've got different things you can look at. But so of all of our US traffic, most are going to careers and then to our homepage, and then there's another job board page that they're digging into, and then there's something here called resources/economic impact, and that's a huge report we just put out, published. So I'm excited to see that there's that much traffic, that's in our top list of resources that people are visiting. But you can even click on this further, and then you can say, okay, show me all the traffic coming through here only. And it shows you then, okay, from there, where are they going? Or maybe let's back up and clear highlighting. Let's go down to this one. So from this page, the economic impact, they're looking at careers. They're also looking at other pages, going back out to the home page. So I kind of get a sense of where they're going, what they're looking at, digging deeper, kind of like that flow through the site. So from beginning to end, what they're doing. And then you can segment that based off of these options that you have at the top. So you really can get a good look at the types of things that they're looking at. So that's under user flow. If you do turn on the demographics information, Google about maybe almost 2 years ago, I started allowing you to collect some demographic information. If you have that enabled, I just say make sure that it fits your privacy policy for your site, because if your privacy policy says you're not collecting that information, then you shouldn't be collecting that information. So make sure that you're up to date on your privacy policy. The other neat thing down here under behaviors, this shows you kind of all of your statistics, but you also get site content. This kind of gives you your top pages. Obviously, we've got a career section. I told you it's always going to be one of the number ones, even higher than our home page, which is really interesting, right? By a good bit. But it just means, I feel like people are not coming directly to your home site, like your home page anymore, because we're doing so much email marketing or Facebook posts and that kind of thing, where you're really driving them to a different landing page, something other than your home page. And so you get to see those top 10 pages. So you saw I had to kind of make a bunch of clicks to get to that section, whereas from that dashboard, I just had one click. That's why I say those dashboards are really useful in saving a bunch of time. So you can click on site content and all pages, and I can really drill down on the content. So say I want to find